Rape is a crime. So let's leave the situation with Pastor Biodun alone right now. We'll come back to that later on. But in general, rape is a crime. Rape is horrible. Rape must be condemned. And rape should not just be condemned. It's not enough just to condemn rape in the public media and fora. We must go beyond condemning rape. Rape has to be punished as well. But of course, the person who is to be punished must be convicted first of the crime. So basically, rape must be prosecuted. There must be prosecution attached to rape in every country. And it is in our country as well. Almost in every country, rape is a crime. I don't know of the Arab countries, because in Arab countries, it's the opposite. When a woman is raped, she ends up being the one punished. But in normal societies, rape must be condemned by the law and by the society. Now, but in Nigeria, we also have the law that is condemning rape. So we have the law that is condemning rape. Rape is a crime in Nigerian society as well, but not as much. Because what I said earlier on is that rape must be condemned not just by the law, but by the society. But what we have in Nigeria is that rape is actually condemned in Nigerian law and is criminalized, but it is not so condemned by our culture. Because that's why I would say, to a large extent, our culture must bear responsibility for what is going on with rape in our society at large. And this is an epidemic that is going on without people knowing. And a lot of people have not reported their cases of rape. And so a lot of cases of rape have been swept under the carpet, and many people don't know about them. But, as a pastor, I've been fortunate to relate and talk to a lot of people who have been victims of rape. And I've watched videos, documentaries about what rape victims go through. By the time you learn and you discover the awfulness, the horror, and the terrible experiences and trauma, the abuse, the trauma that these people go through, the women who are raped go through, by the time you discover it, you will agree to the fact that, yes, definitely, rape is a crime and it must be punished. It must be punished by law and it must be condemned by the society. But in Europe, that awareness is much more heightened than back in Nigeria. In Nigeria, even with the law, if you are going to count how many people have been condemned for rape in Nigeria, they might be less than 10. Maybe at most, they might be less than 100. But in Europe and in America, rape is so highly condemned. It's actually regarded as one of the most hideous sins and crimes that you could commit. In this country, for example, rape, if you rape anybody, you could get up to 8 years in prison. So the least you will get for rape will be 6 years. Then the average one will be 8 years of jail term. And then you could get up to 10 years of jail term, if you, depending on how serious the crime is. But rape will send you to jail for at least 6 to 8 years in this country where I live in. So rape is a big thing. If you rape a lady, if you rape a woman, and that is reported to the police and is documented, and they are able to prove it, you are in trouble big time. But in Nigeria, we will not have more than 100 cases of people who have been condemned for rape. So the law is lacking or is weak. It's not strong enough in the areas of rape. But apart from the law, even the society doesn't condemn it so much. And so that's why I say that our society, Nigerian society, has to bear a whole lot of responsibility for the epidemic of rape that is going on in the country. And while I was growing up in Nigeria, before I talk about Nigeria, here in this country, and not even in the West, in Europe in general, and in America, when rape is so much, the awareness of rape is so much heightened in the society. People are so much aware of the evil of rape that even prisoners condemn rape. Can you believe it? People who are put in prison for killing other people, they themselves condemn rapists. So to the extent that I think it's the same thing in America, but I don't know if it's like that in Western Europe. But in this country, if you are in jail already, so let's say we have a prison where we have 100 people, then one person is condemned to jail or to prison for raping, especially if you rape a minor or a pedophile. So two crimes that are the most heinous, that are the most hated and condemned even by prisoners themselves. So if somebody commits rape in this country and is put in jail, he has to be protected. Because if he's not protected in this country, the criminals, the people who are armed robbers, the people who are thieves, the people who are murderers, who have killed other people, they all will gang up together against the rapist in prison and rape him too. The men will rape the man, and they will rape him until he dies. Sometimes they just kill him. So rapists are even condemned by criminals. So that is how heightened the awareness of rape is in the society. But you don't have that kind of attitude in our society, in Nigeria, for example. Rape is not so totally and universally condemned like in this place, or because the whole society hates it. Even men say, if you are a rapist, you are not a man. So they beat you, they rape you, they victimize you. So for a rapist to go to jail here is in trouble. I mean, that could be the end of his life. They could beat him to death, especially if it has anything to do with raping minors. So, but also another thing that will surprise a Nigerian is that rape is not just when you force a lady to have unconsented, or is it unconsented, we say, sex. If it is unconsented sex that you have with a lady, that's rape, right? If she says, no, I don't want, no, and you make her to do, you force her, that is actually committing a rape. But what is now going on in Europe, and which has become a law in a large part of Europe, is that you could actually be jailed as well for raping your wife. So for a Nigerian person and for a Nigerian man, especially those parts of Nigeria where they pay heavy bride price. So can you imagine that your wife, you wanted to have intimacy with your wife, and she said no because she was not ready for it, or she's not in the mood, and then you make her to have it, that you will go to jail for it. In Nigeria, a Nigerian man will say, what about my bride price? She's my... So that's why we all have to gather together and condemn bride price too. Because once you pay the bride price, you begin to look at the woman as your property, as something, as a product, as something, as a tool, as something that is not human. And then you begin to own it like you own a car, or you own a cow, so like you own a cat, so you can do anything you want with it. That is why the bride price thing is evil, because people would not honor woman. But in Europe now, if you force a woman, your own wife, to have sex with you without her consent, then you are going to be guilty of rape, of committing family rape. So we have not even come close to that in our culture. We don't condemn general rape, because when I was growing up, we never called it rape, and that is another area where our culture is guilty. Because in most African cultures and in most Nigerian cultures, the language, if you take Yoruba language, Igbo language, or Hausa language, I don't know of all these languages, but most languages in Africa don't have a word for rape. They came up with them now, but originally there was no word for rape. And why is it that they don't have a word for rape? Because they say if somebody, because we had that a lot when I was growing up in Africa. We had a lot of girls just getting pregnant from nowhere. They were still in high school or primary school, and they would just see them with belly or with stomach. And then what they do normally in the culture is that they would just, the parents of course of the girl will make noise and do all this. Then the parents of the guilty party, of the man, will just come with some, gift, or with apology, maybe with not even with gift, but with apology. And what the parents of the lady normally say is, okay, you have to marry her. And sometimes they become second wife, third wife, but you have to marry her. So in our culture is more of, okay, just take responsibility. Once you take responsibility, even though you have raped her, she's pregnant or she's not pregnant, once you have taken responsibility to marry her, then it's like you are free from the guilt and from the crime. So that is why I say our culture also has to take responsibility for the crime of rape and for the epidemic of rape that goes on in the society. So, and also another area where the culture is guilty of what is been going on with rape in our society is the culture of silence. And that's why I'm so happy with what's going on right now with this situation with COZA and Timmy and Busola and Biodun. And so the plague of silence is being broken. Can you imagine how many people came out to demonstrate against it? That is the plague of silence being broken at last in Nigeria. I'm so happy. And I said my efforts are not in vain because the plague of silence is being broken. Where is the book, The Plague of Silence? The plague of silence is being broken. And that's why I wrote this book. And I knew that one day, even if people don't value it today, one day this book will get into the hands of the right people, even if it's going to be 100 years later, and that culture of silence will be broken, when people will be able to go out and speak their mind. I even heard some people also went to to besiege the camp, the redeemed camp of Adelaja, and to also demand some accountability. You see, this is what needs to be going on in a healthy society. People should be able to talk their mind and also be able to protest against things that are evil in the society. Now, talking about crime, I actually think that apart from propagating and teaching on the evil of crime, which we have to do, I think that because I've heard assistants to the president speak on this issue, I've heard even the wife of the president, the first lady, speak on this issue, but most of these people are focusing on Biodun's case. And they are making it a big deal as if Biodun is the only rapist in Nigeria, if he's not, when it's not even condemned yet, right? But even if he's guilty, but it's not the only person that is guilty of this. People commit rape on daily basis in Nigeria, on maybe not just daily basis, maybe on hourly basis in Nigeria. So, I like what the Senate, some people in the Senate actually came out and said, let's criminalize this. Let's, pass a bill. And they wanted to demand, or maybe they are still demanding for it, for a death penalty for rape. Yes, if it's harsh, of course, but at least that's the response. But they have to, because it could just be a propaganda, but they have to actually pass a law to punish rape and to punish it and make it a crime. But apart from criminalizing it, the other thing that must be done is to propagate it in such a way that the awareness will be so high, so much that even prisoners, maybe of course I don't say Nigerian prisoners should do what Ukraine or your Russian prisoners are doing to rapists, but at least what I'm saying is that the awareness should be so high that children would know what rape is and how bad it is. School children, pupils should know how bad rape is. Everybody should be, there is no that awareness yet, and our culture should stop curbing it, closing it down under the plague of silence. Our culture should stop covering it up. Our culture should stop silencing people. Our culture should stop saying that, okay, just marry her, just take responsibility. No, we must let people know how evil it is. But even more than that, I think we must begin to give ears to victims of rape. We must begin to listen to women who have suffered from rape and begin to listen to their stories and their testimonies, because the hurt they go through, the damage they go through, and the recovery process it takes. Sometimes it could be up to years before people who have been raped could recover from it. I've encountered people who have been raped, and the suffering could go for decades. It could go for years and years. People have suffered from this damage, from this abuse, for even when they are married. That's why I personally think that maybe there is a day dedicated to rape victims worldwide by United Nations, but if there is no such a a day that is such a memorable, I mean, such a, what they call it, a Memorial Day or whatever you call it, that is it's supposed to be dedicated just to remember and to campaign against rape. I think that the United Nations should have a day like this where they just say, okay, let's say the 1st of January or the 1st of December or the 1st of June or April is a day, or August, any month, any day, 26th of July or something, should be dedicated to the day of victims of rape. And there must be a sign or a ribbon or something like that, that we know. When we all see that ribbon, we say, oh, this is the campaign against rape and against people who have been raped and people who have been abused by men and maybe by women too. But it should be a Rape Victims Day. I think we need to have a Rape Victims Day. But even if we don't have it internationally, I would like to call on Nigerian government. So if there is something that the Nigerian government can do right now, the Nigerian government and the National Assembly, the new National Assembly, could right now, that doesn't take money. You don't need money much for that. Just take the decision, choose a date, and say this day is dedicated to the victims of rape. And that day, the whole country will be campaigning against rape. We must have a day like this, a day that is dedicated to the victims of rape, and dedicated to discouraging people against rape as well. So on this note, I would like, of course, to express my sympathy and my empathy to people who have suffered from rape all over the world, especially these two ladies that recently came out, Busola Dakolo, that came out, and the other lady, and other women that are silent and that are not talking or that have been talking, to just express my sympathy and to pray that God will heal you people of the mental wound and psychological abuse and the trauma that goes with rape. I pray that God, but because I would also like to commend team. Let me start with Busola, because people might not understand why I'm starting with team, so that they don't say I'm a chauvinistic person. So let me start with Busola. I think people don't know the magnitude of her suffering and what she had gone through. So for people to come out, or to have come out to say she's lying, that is adding salt to injury. I mean, that is cruel. And because I don't know how you could have listened to her story and say it's a lie. Now, I'm not saying Biodun Fatoyibo is condemned yet or is guilty yet. Maybe he's not. But let me tell you what, the story of those two girls sounds very credible. Maybe now, they might not be regarded as rape by some people, but their pains are real. So to come out and just categorically condemn them and begin to accuse them and attack the victim, that's making their case worse. Because, like you are seeing that girl like that, even though she's, all made up, she is having makeup and having good hairdo and all looking beautiful, but inside, you don't know how many years of pain she has endured. So we shouldn't trivialize other people's experiences. And that's why I wanted to talk about the husband as well. Some people condemn the husband, Timmy. Some people commend him, but they are commending him just for coming out to speak. But what I'm saying, which is commendable, which is good, that the two of them, that they could come out with their truth and speak and break the silence. But that is not the only thing they have done where they need to be commended. Listen to me, I have had interactions with victims of rape, okay, in my church here in Europe. I've had some of them being my leaders, some of them have been my staff, some of them have been my workers, some of them have been my members. So I've worked with them closely, and I will tell you, it's not easy to live together, especially in a close relationship as a family. To live together with a rape victim, and not because the person is bad, but the reoccurrences, the side effects that come with it. Only few men are able to live with a rape victim and still be happy. You need, so that's why I say Tim himself must be commended. He's a hero because now I begin to understand, because I saw somebody sent me a video that he did dedicated to love and relationship, and the wife was there, and he was thinking about the wife. You need to do that effort, as much effort to make a wife that has been raped happy. But even that might not be enough. You need to go extra miles to make a woman that has been raped even just satisfied, to just even feel good about herself. Like say, me personally, I have a belief that I will not go out of my house unless my wife is happy and she's smiling. But if my wife had been a rape victim, the efforts that I put in to do that, which is not easy to make a woman happy all the time, but it will be times 3 if she had been a rape victim. So for any man that marries a rape victim, you need to give them big respect, because they need to put in 3 times more effort to just make their wife normal, talk less of happy. And also for the lady that has been raped, you cannot, because she will be thinking, I'm to blame. She will be thinking that, okay, my husband doesn't love me, or I don't deserve to be loved. And a lot of things go on from there. That's why a lot of rape victims become prostitutes, or they might not become prostitutes, but they could become promiscuous, because they just begin to look for something to fill in something that has been taken away, that has been stolen from them. So they're looking for the other man that will be able to bring it back, or give them coverage and give them the support that is needed for them to be healed. So it's not because they want to become prostitutes. And a lot of prostitutes are victims of rape, just like a lot of homosexuals are victims of rape. So that's why we must not trivialize the experience of these people. Their experience is real. Why? I mean, if they could come up with it, talk on television like that, it means they needed to get rid of it. And the society, what we need to do as a society is to help them. But not just to help them, that single one person, but to help all victims of rape. And I think that is what this situation with, because Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo has been one of the most successful and one of the most brilliant, one of the brightest new generation pastors in Nigeria. And I don't know him personally. I've never talked to him. I've never met him. He was not there when I was in Nigeria. He came up after I had left 30-something years ago. So I don't have any relationship with him at all. But what I'm trying to say is that for God to have allowed that to happen to someone that is so prominent and so much on top, God is not just talking to Biodun Fatoyinbo guys. God is talking to all of us. God is talking to our society. God is talking to us as a people. God is talking to us as it's supposed to be a time of reflection. That's what I'm trying to say. We as a people need to reflect. We as a people need to reach some hard decisions and take some decisions that things like this will not stop. Will stop happening. Will not keep on happening. So, but even more so, apart from the society that will bear a lot of brunt for the cases of rape in the society, like I've said. But I think in this particular case, God wants the church as well to reflect. God is actually speaking to the church, not just to Pastor Biodun. No, he's speaking to all of us. He's speaking to the leadership of the church in Nigeria, and he's speaking to the church in Nigeria in general. I personally believe that there are two groups of people that are at fault for this kind of thing that has happened to Pastor Biodun, apart from himself, of course. But there are two people to blame, two groups of people to blame for what has been going on, what happened to him. Number one is the society at large. He's a victim. What do you call it? Huh? No. He's a product of his own society. Pastor Biodun is a product of the society that he has grown up in. So that's why the society must be responsible. But apart from the society, Pastor Biodun and people like that is also a product of the church in Nigeria. This is the face of the church in Nigeria. And this is why I think the church is the second group of people that must take responsibility for what has happened to Pastor Biodun. So for Khan and to say we don't have anything to do with it and everything like that, no, I think God is speaking to the church in Nigeria, guys. I think God is speaking to the PFN, to Khan. He's speaking to the church in Nigeria. And it's not just about, judging Pastor Biodun alone. It's not just about talking to Pastor Biodun alone. I think the form of Christianity that we are practicing in Nigeria right now encourages this kind of crimes. Not just the crime of rape. I say, oh, my pastor never raped anybody. Oh, no, rape never happened in our church. Yeah, maybe rape never happened in sense of sexual rape. But the church in Nigeria is raping people every day. The model of church that we are practicing in Nigeria is raping our women, is raping women, is raping men, is raping the citizens of Nigeria every day. This church in Nigeria is set up in such a way to rape. The Nigerian church is committing rape as well. So don't just be in a hurry to throw stones at Pastor Biodun right now. Because, okay, if you want me to prove it, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it to you why the Nigerian church and society should take responsibility for this rape thing that has happened, not just with Pastor Biodun, but with other people as well. Number one, the church is set up in a way that people worship the leaders. Any place where people, have absolute power like pastors and GOs in Nigeria have, that is a room for abuse. Whenever there is absolute power, there is impunity? Impunity. There is impunity. And the impunity of the Nigerian church is what has led to this situation. Can you imagine if you have read the book of evangelist Busola, is it Busola as well? Bisola. Yeah, Johnson. You will see, the impunity that is. If you read a book or go out and look at the videos, you will see what kind of things that are going on in TB Joshua's church. But then when I listen to the second abused or raped victim or accuser from COZA, the same thing. It's the way they set up the hierarchy of church in Nigeria is giving impunity to the head of these churches. And when they are infallible. They are like gods. And that's why God will never allow any one of us to be God and to be worshipped and to have that kind of absolute power. The adage, the old saying, which is already everybody knows, it says that power corrupts. But absolute power corrupts absolutely. So that is the kind of situation that we have in Nigeria. When the church has been elevated to a place, the church leadership has been elevated to a place of, absolute power. That is like the Catholic Church. When the Catholic Church, you see how all the kind of sexual immorality going on there, because there is absolute power. Wherever there is absolute power, these kind of things are inevitable. So, but in Nigeria, it's not just one pope we have. Every denomination, every church is a pope, has its own pope. Every GO is a pope of his own denomination. Can you imagine how many popes we have in Nigeria? Everybody, so the crime that we have in Nigeria is much more than the crimes that we have in the Catholic Church. If not for the plague of silence, the evil that has been going on in Nigeria would have been blown out, and it would have been much more worse than what we are talking about. So that's why I say that the church must reflect and come to the conclusion that God is talking to us. The way the church is set up in Nigeria is such that it will encourage abuse. Either it's sexual abuse, either it is rape, either it is monetary abuse, money abuse, mammon abuse, human abuse, enslaving people, making people, and that is where in Nigeria, in most churches, you cannot question your leadership. You cannot question your leaders. You cannot challenge them. And that will definitely lead to an abuse like this. So what has happened to Pastor Biodun is a picture of what is actually rotting in the society, in our society. And it's a sign that God is trying to talk to all of us that, hey, the Nigerian church must reshape itself. And then, this man that this thing happened to, Biodun, is the guy they call, is it Gushi Pastor? I think they call him. He's the one they call Gushi. Yeah, they call him Gushi Pastor. Why? Because he's based his ministry on packaging. So that is another crime of the Nigerian church. Why the Nigerian church should take responsibility for this? Because we have built everything on fake. Everything is fake. You are not real. You have based everything on packaging. I mean, if you go to their church, because I listened to the testimony from Mike Murdoch about that church and some other Americans who went to that church, if you listen to that church, you would think that Nigeria is better than America. Those Americans are saying that they were receiving the kind of treatment and the kind of luxury and the kind of, material money that they never received anywhere in the world. Even in America, they were treated like they were never treated in their country. They were living in hotels that they couldn't afford in America. So why should you make Nigeria look as if it's better than America? In a country where is the poorest, the largest amount of poor people in Nigeria, but we are creating falsehood. You live in Nigeria where everybody is, in that same Abuja, people are dying of hunger, and you go to that church, you would think that it's not Nigeria, it's another world. That's fake life. So fake life, all churches in Nigeria are guilty of this. Because you go to the church, everything is perfect, like it's heaven, or like it is. But what God said we should do is to bring heaven to the earth, not to the building. But Nigerian pastors are bragging and competing among themselves that they are the ones who have created the biggest church or the biggest building, the most air conditioned, the most this and that. They have put emphasis on the wrong things. They are building fake life. So what has happened to Pastor Biodun is as a result of the fake gospel and the fake life that the Nigerian church has been presenting and has been doing. We have been involved in fake gospel. We have been involved in fake practices. We have been involved in faith packaging, and that has caught up with us. That is what has caught up with this, my brother, Biodun Fatoyinbo. And he has to face the music. And we all have to face it together. We have to reflect at this point and reach a decision that no, this is time to change. We have to change the way things are. And people who went to demonstrate against Pastor Adeboye, I think they are smart, because Pastor Adeboye is like the leading figure in the Nigerian charismatic Pentecostal church circles, and he needs to do something. He needs to take responsibility, not just mock something and verify the woman and say if a woman accuses you, I've been accused by women, but that doesn't make me to verify all women and say you should never take a woman as so. Women now are like target, So that is another problem. We need to address our issues, our imperfections, and then. But the biggest thing I think God is telling to the church is that we should stop Nigerian people, because Nigerian people too are to blame. We should stop worshiping pastors. Your pastor is not your God. Your pastor is not a God. The attitude of our people to pastors and to men of God is like they are gods. You cannot question them. You cannot ask. You cannot challenge them. You cannot say anything. You got to. I mean, can you imagine? Even you who's watching me right now, if you were to have a position whereby nobody questions you, nobody can challenge you, nobody can argue with what you say, everything you say is absolute. Don't you think that you would have done worse than Biodun has done? Maybe not worse, but you have done some things wrong too. Because you could tell any woman, married or unmarried, to undress because I want to pray for you, and she will undress. Then you could tell her that I want to anoint your private part, and she will do it. And I have people on my platform that are calling into the program sometimes and say that they themselves did it. Why? Because they want the fruit of the womb. Or why? Because a man of God said it. So when any man of God says, let me sleep with you, the most of them will do it, because we have this attitude to men of God where they are unquestionable. I mean, when we are talking about a society where wives will respect their pastor 10 times more before they give any regard to their husband. They don't even, so won't they sleep with the pastor and disregard the husband? Of course they will, because they don't care for the husband, not to the man. God is the pastor. So all these things have to be dismantled. So we have a problem. I'm still going to go to Biodun Fatoyinbo, okay? I will still get to him. Let me now talk about Fatoyinbo himself. It's a sad case. But you know what? I think even Fatoyinbo himself is a victim of his own self, but more of his environment. He's a victim of his environment. He's a victim of the kind of church he has come to embrace. He's a victim of the society where he has grown up in. But more is a victim of the mentality of Kugushi mentality, Christianity that he has embraced from America. But personally, I think that Fatu Oyinbo doesn't have any need to rape anybody. Even though I believe the stories, I think the stories are credible, but I don't think he didn't do it. I think probably he did it, but I would not like to come to conclusion yet until the court makes him guilty of it, because I've been accused myself. I mean, can you imagine somebody? I mean, I know, don't let me talk about myself right here, but I've been accused of, not rape, but so all kinds of sexual things. But so I know what that means. So only court of law can really, judge somebody as being guilty of something like this. But I would say the stories of these ladies are going to be very, very difficult to dispute, okay? So I personally think he did something wrong for sure. So, but when it's not 2 stories, not 3 stories, it's not multiple stories, and these girls are coming out to talk about rape, I personally think, let's just assume, that's how I'm assuming right now, that he probably did something wrong. I think he did it, but like I'm saying, he's innocent until he's proven guilty by the court of law, right? So, but even let's say he didn't even do it, but there are reasons that will make me to think that definitely he's guilty of some things. Because number one, he doesn't have to rape anybody. You are already powerful. This person is already so powerful that any member, in fact, some people go on Facebook and say, rape me. Some even mothers come and say, rape my daughter. Come and rape my daughter. I will be happy. I will even pay you for it. So you are already good looking. The guy is good looking for sure. You are already an elite in Nigeria, that there are very few elites. So when you are an elite, you are already a god in your own class. You are already a god in your own class. You are already a god of COZA, because everybody in COZA is dreaming of even shaking your hand. So why rape in such a situation? Now, I can explain it, I think. I think I can explain why he will rape nevertheless. The reason he will rape is because of his history. And I think if Pastor Biodun is going to watch this, I'm not condemning you as a person, but I'm condemning the sin, the act, and not just this act of rape, but things that are connected to it. And not just for Pastor Biodun, but for people that might also fall, victim of this. And I'm sure there are a lot of people like this as well. So the reason why he would do the rape is because of his history. From his own testimony, I saw a video where he was giving testimony that he used to be in the cult, and he used to be a leader, one of the leaders of the cult. So, and I can understand that if you had been a cult leader like that, you are used to power. And cult people, they use power to get their ways. So he's used to getting his ways in most cases. So that's why he's trying to apply that to the woman. Maybe he tried to apply that to the woman as well, trying to get your way with the woman. Unfortunately, now it's coming out, and that is not permitted. When a woman says no, you can convince her, but you don't force her. You don't make her to do what she doesn't want to do. So that's number one. Number two is another reason why I think that he would do it. And not just him. I'm just using him as a figurehead now, as like a scapegoat. Yeah, not me, but the whole Nigeria is using him as a scapegoat. But another reason why he would do it is because this man, like that's why I said it's a victim. It's a victim of his generation, his age. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm older than him, or we're about the same age or something, but he grew up in the era of television. When we were growing up in Nigeria, watching television, there is a film they used to call, is it 007? Is it 007 or 700? Yeah, it was no 007. There is a film like that. There is
007.
007. Is it
James Bond?
Yeah, James Bond. Yeah, it's James Bond kind of films and things like that. So all these kind of films, and then the detective, the James Adelaja, those are the kind of literature we were reading when we were in secondary school. Those, I think it's still met it, and 007, right? You call it 007, those kind of things. So those kind of films that were, this is not just for Nigeria. That's why you have rapists in every country, and there are many. So Hollywood is, is this man, Fatoyibo, is from that generation of people who grew up watching. I mean, I think it was a little privilege. So they had television in their house. So they are victims of Nollywood mentality. Not Nollywood, Hollywood mentality. What is that Hollywood mentality? In relation to women, now it has changed. But in the 70s and in the 80s especially, the Hollywood attitude to women is such that, for example, I'm talking to you now as a woman. I'm talking to a woman, and maybe I offend her. The woman slaps me, or I slap her, and I then we are arguing. I'm sure some people will remember this. You are arguing with her. She's trying to beat you. You are holding her hand. And then at the end of the day, the whole scene ends by you just pushing her to the bed. I don't know if you have seen things like you push her to the bed, and the next thing she does is that she's kissing you. And you are kissing her, she's kissing. She was fighting at first. Then later on, she agrees. And then at the end of the day, you are lying there in the bed, two of you, and you are enjoying life. But that is abuse right there. And that is rape right there. So that culture of rape came from America. But what I'm trying to say, not to justify Fatoyibo, I'm just saying that he's not the only one. There are thousands, millions of them who are groomed by this kind of films. So that's why I believe that he probably did those things. That what those people were saying, it's exactly like in those films. When those girls would be saying no, he kept on doing his thing and until they succumb. And those girls themselves said that. They said they gave in. Exactly like in the film. When you are abusing the girl, then later on she gives in. And you think, no problem, in the film. I mean, in the film, no problem. It happened, it ended well. Nobody's condemning anybody. It's film. Everybody is watching it. So in life too, you begin to produce it. And that is, so what I'm trying to say is that I believe that, that is exactly what happened as those ladies are saying it. But of course, like I said, it's only the judge will have to judge. But there are a lot of generation of people in our country that were brought up by that culture of Nollywood, whereby when I was growing up, I was the same. But, not that I was raping women, but I was having that same mindset that the only way to get a woman is, that a woman will always say, there is something that even my brother told me this. My brother in Nigeria said, women, maybe not only my brother said, maybe people have heard this before. They say, women are like cars. This is a saying where I was growing up, that women are like cars. That wherever they want to, car, first of all, he wants to go to town, but he has to reverse first. Reverse and goes the opposite, goes the opposite direction before he faces where he's going. That women are like that. That women always reverse. They want to do it but they will say, no, I don't want. They will say, let's do no, I don't want. Then later on, but you just don't give up. Once you don't give up, she will later face the right direction. This is the mentality. Anyway, you could be, people will be cursing me now and abusing me and calling me names. But let me tell you what, this is the mentality that a lot of people still have in Nigeria right now. That women always will, refuse your advances, but never stop. If you're a man, you never stop. So why do I believe that Fatoyibo did it? Because he's a victim. He grew up in Nigeria. And if you grew up in Nigeria, if you grew up in the western part of Nigeria like myself, and you grew up under that culture of Nollywood, not Nollywood, Hollywood, and all those films, all those James Adelaja, all those novels, detectives and things that is exactly what they were doing those days. I mean, that's what they're reading in those books, in those movies. If you are reading movies like that, and the way he speaks English, I could tell that he was reading movies. And I could tell that he was watching American things too. So you could tell, because me, in my own case, what saved me? Let me just tell my own case. Because I had the same mentality that a woman, you must make her to do what you want. But what helped me is that I was 19 years old, and I came to this country, and my other brother, not the one that told me that women are like us, but this other brother was in Russia here. And he's had one girlfriend, for 3 years. And he was telling me the story that, this girl is still a virgin. I said, how can you be having this girl as a girlfriend for 3 years and she's still a virgin? She said, so he was telling me that because their culture, she's a Muslim. And in their culture, she cannot marry this virgin because they will have a way to find out or to, so she's saying, because my brother is not even sure he was going to marry her or something, but she just begged him and said, please, I cannot do it because I will be an outcast in my culture. So, but one day, because he's a man, and you know what happens with men? Men talk among themselves. So he was telling his friends that, my wife, I've not slept with her for 3 years. Everybody started telling him that you are a fool. You will go and marry another person. You are such a fool. He said for 1 year, all those boys were, have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done it? Have you done it? So one day, he just said, he came back. And the woman was sleeping in his house too. They were sleeping in the same house. They were in the same room. And nothing will happen. So this day, when she came to sleep, they had to spend the weekend with him. He just said, well, this one, today not today. By Monday, I must go back to the school. I've already promised all my friends that we are going to do it. Today not today. So he said, the lady was just saying, no, please don't do it. Don't do it, don't do it. And they were struggling, and they said, don't do it. Convincing him, don't do it. So he said, I will do it anyway. She said, well, we are boyfriend. I love you. Don't do it. So she said, okay, if you want to do it, don't force me. Don't do anything. Let me just. So she undressed herself and lied in the bed and said, okay, do what you want to do. She just lied. No, she said, my brother said, when I saw her lied like that and said, do what you want to do. I touched her. It's like dead person. I tried to move her leg. She's just like a dead person. She said, I just became cold. I just became cold. I said, but this is not love again. Because how can, she's just lying down there and say, do what you want to do. No, I need the emotion. I need the response. I need the, you get what I'm saying? Yeah, I need the mutuality. I need that to express love to me too. So she just said, he just apologized to her. And so that's why they have been so bound together. And so they didn't marry her, but he never really slept with her, and she married as a virgin. Anyway, but when he told me that story, he told me that you never make a woman do. He said that is a lesson for a whole lifetime for him, and he was telling me too. If a woman says no, you never make a woman do what she doesn't want to do.
A woman's no means no.
A woman's no means don't just go there. So that is how I got to learn that. So that story cancelled the thing that had been recorded in my own subconscious that you make a woman do. So it just took the whole memory and the whole attitude to women for me to another level. That a woman says yes, a woman, that's what I teach you people here. Yeah. That if a woman says yes or no, you don't argue with a woman. So I never told you this story, but this is the way. This is one of the places it's coming from. You don't argue with a woman. Just honor her decision. So, but a lot of our people have not been given the opportunity to be trained. How many fathers train their children, their sons, on how to relate to women? That's why I think that Nigerian culture is responsible for the rape that is happening, not just in Nigerian society, in the church also. How many pastors teach in details how men are supposed to honor women? I don't think our pastors are teaching on how to honor women, and that the decision and the opinion of a woman is final. I don't think that people teach that in our churches. But rather, I've heard that in Nigerian churches, when you go, they will say, listen to your husband. Or listen, no, it is the woman that is to blame. Anything, the woman must listen. You submit. Of course, that is encouraging abuse. That would definitely lead to abuse as well. Just like it's not just sexual abuse, it leads to all kinds of abuses. So the abuse that we're having right now is prevalent because of the culture and because of the church that we have in Nigeria. But with Fatoyinbo himself, let me now talk about him. Apart from him being scapegoat of his upbringing and everything like that, the cult culture he was in, but the church also, because the church has made him, he has used the church to make him to build a cult image of himself. So, and when the kind of leadership they have in Nigerian church and in his own church is that everybody just must open their mouth before you, and you think that everybody belongs to you. So he's seeing all those members as his property. Everybody can just go and take any one of them anytime I want and just do anything I want with them. But they are human beings. But the church in Nigeria doesn't teach you that your members are human beings like you, that they are equal to you. The church in Nigeria doesn't teach that. The church in Nigeria teaches that they are just people who must bow to you. They are your slaves. They are your subjects. Do anything you want with them. But I personally think with that kind of power that Fatoyinbo has, the kind of money he has, if he's still forcing a woman to do what she doesn't want to do, I think he has a mental distortion, frankly speaking. I think if anybody knows him, and all the people that know him, they must help him go for some recovery program. He needs to go for recovery program. He has some mental distortion. And the mental distortion is not like he's mental or psychiatrical, but what mental distortion, I mean, is psychological. It means that but it's not that he's crazy. It just means that he's addicted to power. He's a man of power. So which means this mental distortion I'm talking about is narcissism. Narcissism and a psychopath, or is narcissistic and narcissist. Because the reason why I know that is because, when you already have so much power, you have position, you have money, you are handsome, you can do anything you want, and to do that, the men that do that are who are narcissists. Narcissists are the people that you cannot convince them otherwise. They do what they want to do. They are the god of their lives. Just like I talk about Trump, Trump also is having the same tendency. Donald Trump of America. You see, that's why all those accusations that he is having too, and the things that they say, he himself said he did, that is and the attitude of a narcissist, for sure. So with this man, that is what narcissists do. It means that he's having his way. A narcissist must have his way at all costs. It doesn't care what you think. Are you a human being or you are not a human being? That is what I call mental distortion. So that is where that rape accusation comes from, because he is always having the way. He must have it. So you must not question him. And even if you listen to those girls very well, they all said he will always tell them, no, just keep quiet, just keep quiet, just be quiet. Everything will be okay. You cannot subject him. That is a distortion right there. It's a mental distortion. He's narcissistic. He's psychopath. But 90% of pastors in Nigeria are like that. They are narcissistic and psychopath, not because they are bad themselves as human beings, but the environment, the kind of church they have inherited, the doctrines they have imbibed, their outlook, their worldview. Their worldview is such that a pastor must be absolute. A pastor must be, must be supreme. And then, but let me address something here, which I will say, because the question of rape for men is a big problem. We all, as Nigerians, we must start a campaign to educate men, especially, what rape is. You remember I told you right now about the things we saw in films. And I told you also what my brother said. That my brother said a car is going the other way, but he wants to go. But even besides that, leave that alone. Most men, this is natural. What I want to say right now, why men are guilty of rape most of the time. Now, there is no justification. This is they cannot be justified. It's unjustifiable, right? But men always cross the border. Maybe not rape, but rape is too far. I just don't know how men could go on that to rape. But rape is too far. But then I could say a lot of men are guilty of abuses against women or sexual abuse towards women. And the reason is this. Listen closely. It is natural in every culture, right? Almost every culture, maybe 90% of the world population will agree that men are the advancers, what do you call it? Are the people who approach women, what do you call it? They are the hunters. They are the ones who take the first decision. They are the ones who approach women. So because men are the aggressors, yeah, that's the word. Men are the aggressors. They approach women. And naturally also, almost in every culture, it is almost natural that 90% of women will always resist at first. Because there is something that women also have, that it is cheap for them to agree immediately. That if they agree immediately, it's like they are cheap girls, like they are light. Yeah. So for ladies not to appear light, they also normally resist normally. And men know that too. So men also begin to put more pressure. Now, this is why men need to be taught. And this is why we need propaganda and we need education. We need to enlighten our society. Because if you watch my family series, I spoke about the nature of men and the nature of women. There are ways to woo a woman to agree. Not to give up as a man, but to make her agree. To woo her. But we are not taught those measures and those ways. Or even not just in Nigeria, we are not taught. Even in Europe and America, most men are not taught how to make a woman agree to your love and to your advances. But the only thing they know is that they must not give up.
Apply pressure.
So they begin to, and what men know is pressure. They begin to apply pressure. That sometimes goes to the extreme, especially when these men are powerful men. Either they are powerful physically, or they are powerful financially, or they are powerful in their positionally. So that's why that could be taken to the extreme to get to. So there is a thin line between, because they know that, okay, she refused, then later on she gave in, right? So that submission, that's women succumbing to men's advances eventually, sometimes it deceives men to think that if this woman is saying no, it doesn't really mean no right now. It means that she wants me to prove to her that I really want her. And that leads to abuse a lot of time. And that's why men begin to apply pressure and then they, do things that a lady doesn't want. And that is where we need the education. This is where we need the training, the education, the enlightenment to the society, so that people will know that, no, there are ways, there are other methods, and I've spoken about this in my family series. There are other ways to make a woman, fall on her feet, to be swept off her feet without you applying pressure, without you violating her, without you making her do what she doesn't want to do. She will be swept off her feet. She will be full. She will be all yours without pressure. So there are ways to do this, but men must be taught how this is done. And almost even fathers themselves don't know how to do this. Talk less of, pastors don't want to talk about these kind of things. So these are all things that are responsible for all the rape situations that we see. If you have been watching our videos and maybe you enjoy them, maybe you don't enjoy them, but still we need you to help us spread the word. And for that to happen, we only need you to take 5 little steps. Please help us spread this word by liking the video. Then, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We also need you to press the notification button, and the way to do that is to click on the bell. You see the bell there? Click on it. Then, of course, leave your comments. Let's know what you're thinking about each video. And finally, we need you to go and share the word. Share this video on your Facebook timeline, on your Instagram, and every other platform that you have. All right? Let's win the world for Christ. Thank you so much.